The smell hit me first. Diesel and fresh-cut applewood, cutting through the morning fog, 6 a.m., and there they were, pouring concrete on my land like it belonged to them. 28 luxury condos, for $1 million worth of dreams and bad decisions, going up on the same 47 acres my granddad bought with his own hands back in '61. I got a clear title, but titles don't mean much to folks who think a Lexus and a clipboard make them queen. Darlene Pritchett, the HOA president, white Lexus, community first, vanity plates, waving yesterday like we were just two neighbors arguing over fence height. Except this wasn't polite. This was war. She forged permits, bulldozed my grandpa's 80-year-old orchard, built herself a retirement cash cow right on my property. No permission, no offer, just entitlement. Her grand opening party, with all her wine and cheese friends, was 7 days away. But my demolition crew? They were scheduled, too. So let me ask you, what would you do if you woke up to concrete trucks on your land? Seriously, I want to know. Drop your comment below. Where are you watching from? HOA corruption, let me tell you, it's everywhere. I'm Mitch Kowalski, 52, third generation on this land, retired civil engineer, just a regular guy who moved back to the farmhouse 18 months ago after cancer took my wife. For years she fought, never quit. I came back to figure out what was left of my life. What came next? The property? Overgrown pasture, pines to the north, apple trees Grandpa planted in 1943, and everywhere, the smell of pine sap and old memories. Grandpa used to say, "This land's got plans, Mitch. Just gotta wait for the right ones." I was still waiting. This place sits just outside Pinewood Springs, a mountain town that used to be quiet, but then the developers showed up. In 2019, they built Willow Creek Estates next door. Gated community, 120 homes, HOA fees that could bankroll a third-world country. That's Darlene's kingdom. White Lexus, helmet hair, designer yoga pants worth more than my truck, and a smile that made you check your wallet. She was HOA president, which in her mind made her queen. 6 months after I moved back, she found me at the corner cafe, slid into my booth like we were old friends. "We're concerned about your property, Mitch. It's overgrown, attracts coyotes. Would you consider selling? Fair price." I set my coffee down so hard the mug thumped. "It's not for sale." Her smile froze. "Well, we'll see. Property maintenance codes exist for a reason." 2 weeks later, code enforcement shows up. Earl, county inspector, 70 if he's a day, seen it all twice, walked my land, found nothing wrong. Anonymous complaint, he said, apologetic, hazardous debris, illegal structures. Total bull. When I asked who filed it, he looked at his boots. "Can't say officially, but if I were you, I'd start with those fancy gates next door." I let it go. Figured Darlene would get bored. But then I left for 2 weeks in March, scattered my wife's ashes in Yellowstone, her favorite place. When I got back, my land looked like a crime scene. Survey stakes everywhere, orange tape fluttering like an invasion force. Called the number on the tags. Surveying company out of Denver. "Oh, you're Kowalski?" Willow Creek HOA hired us for a boundary dispute. Boundary dispute. That night, I sat under Grandpa's old lamp, the kind that'll burn your hand if you get too close, reading my deed, every word. Surveyed 61, confirmed in 87, unchanged since I inherited it. No dispute, except the one Darlene invented. Called her up, she answered sweet as honey. "Oh, Mitch, just a formality. Our lawyer found discrepancies in the plat. Don't make this difficult." I told her, "There are no discrepancies. This is my land." Her voice dropped, "Honey gone. That's for the courts to decide." Blessed day. Click. I hired my own surveyor. Cost me $3,200. He confirmed what I already knew. Sent Darlene the results by certified mail. No response. 3 weeks later, I thought she'd finally back down. Then came that morning. Diesel fumes, bulldozers, and concrete trucks on my pasture. Walked out at 6:15 a.m. in my bathrobe, coffee in hand, sure I'd lost my mind. Bulldozers ripping trenches where Grandpa taught me to ride. The smell, ripped earth and diesel, like money doesn't care about your feelings. Saw a dozer push over an apple tree, roots snapping like gunfire. Something in my chest went cold. I found the site trailer, stormed up the plywood steps, didn't bother knocking. Inside, Randall Pritchett, Darlene's husband, real estate developer, golf course tan, looked up with a smile. "Morning, Mitch." "Coffee," I said. "You're on my land." He didn't blink. Actually, check your facts. HOA filed an adverse possession claim. This land's been in legal limbo since 1998. Just rectifying an old error. My jaw tightened. That's not how adverse possession works. This is criminal trespassing. Randall leaned back. Then call the cops. Oh wait, Sheriff Danny Cho and I golf every Thursday. Good luck. I called anyway. 4 hours later, a nervous kid in uniform showed up. I showed my deed. Randall flashed forged permits. Deputy looked at both, looked at his boots, and said, "This is civil, sir. You need a lawyer and an injunction." Randall smirked. That's when I understood. Rich folks don't break rules. They rewrite them, faster than you can catch up. I went to the county records office. Diane, the clerk, glasses on a chain, pulled up Darlene's paperwork. "Honey, this says the HOA's used your land since 2000 for community recreation. Open and notorious." I said, "They didn't exist until 2019. She nodded. "I know, but it's filed. Official until a judge tosses it." She printed the stack. 23 pages of perfect forgeries. Cost me $7 just to own my own fraud. Next morning, I put up a homemade stop work order. Wasn't legal, but it looked it. Crew laughed, kept pouring. By afternoon, Grandpa's orchard was mulch. I found his old surveying journal in the rubble. Leather cover, careful handwriting, photographs of the land when it was just prairie and dreams. Sat on a dirt pile, that journal in my lap. Felt the same rage I felt at my wife's funeral. Watching something irreplaceable get destroyed by people who don't care. That night, my wife's voice echoed. "You're the guy who fixes things everyone says are broken for good. Don't forget that." Right there, I made my decision. This wasn't about stopping construction. This was about burning Darlene's scam to the ground. My neighbor Hap called. Old rancher, 70, chews tobacco like it's medicine. Been watching with binoculars, Mitch. That Lexus lady don't belong on a construction site. I almost laughed. Next morning, I hired a property attorney, Elena Vasquez. Mid-40s, sharp as a knife. We walked the line. She took photos, flipped through deeds. This is the most brazen land fraud I've seen in 18 years. We'll win, but the injunction hearing's 3 weeks out. They'll finish building before we see a judge. My stomach dropped. Elena smiled, not friendly. I'm not traditional. Over coffee at my kitchen table, she filed a lawsuit and a lease pendants, a legal grenade. It poisons the title. Nobody'll buy those condos now. 2 days later, Darlene herself shows up, designer yoga pants, fake concern, camera rolling in my hand. "Mitch, this lawsuit's embarrassing for you. We're bringing jobs and progress, and you're blocking it over sentiment." I kept the phone steady. "It's my land, Darlene. Title's clear since 1961. She handed me a counter lawsuit. $500,000 for torious interference. I sat on my porch, legal threats in hand, and realized this wasn't about right or wrong. This was about who could outlast whom. Elena called it a war of attrition. Most people give up. But I had time, stubbornness, and a dead wife who taught me quitting's just dying slow. Spent days at the public library, digging. Found the pattern. Pritchett Properties LLC pulled this scam in Nevada, Arizona, Texas. Tracked down Mike Brennan, lost his ranch to these snakes. He cried on the phone, "Son, don't let them win." That night, Hap texted, "Old ranchers don't sleep much. Construction crews working nights now." I texted back, "Neither do I, game on." Next morning, local paper ran an op-ed. Darlene calling me selfish, nostalgic for the past. Facebook blew up. Strangers called for eminent domain, told me to move on from my dead wife. At the hardware store, Dale wouldn't make eye contact. "Can't take sides, Mitch. It's business." I started feeling not just lonely, but exiled. Elena called, "Go on offense. Go public." We dug into Randall's construction loan. Private equity, personally guaranteed, dependent on pre-sales. But with a poisoned title? No buyer, no money. Elena filed to freeze their pre-sale funds. And Jamal Wright, investigative reporter, gathered victims from 4 states, ready to air the pattern right after the court hearing. We even tipped the county about permit fraud. Randall filed as HOA common area to skip environmental review. Inspectors shut the site down. That afternoon, Randall turned purple. Darlene melted down on Facebook, deleted everything, but I screenshotted it all. Cracks were forming. That night, insomnia drove me to the attic. Found a rusted lockbox. Inside, The original 61 deed, Grandpa's survey maps, and a county letter from 1998. Turns out the county had already reviewed the boundary, denied the developer's request, and certified everything in writing. The key sentence: boundary reviewed and certified as recorded. Request for modification denied. Matter resolved. That was the kill shot. Elena wanted to file it immediately. I told her no. Let them lie under oath first. Then we drop this and end it for good. She laughed, sharp, delighted. That's vicious, Mitch. I like it. Court day. Judge Helena Brandt. Reputation for eating lawyers alive. Randall. Suit worth more than my truck. Krause, their attorney, spun a story of confusing decades of boundaries. Elena dismantled it. Showed their surveyor wasn't licensed in 1998. Aerial photos proved our line never moved. Then, Elena called Randall to the stand. Did the county resolve this in 1998? Randall, sweating, lied under oath. No, it was unresolved. Elena dropped Grandpa's letter. Judge read it, expression stone. That's perjury. Preliminary injunction granted permanently. Adverse possession dismissed with prejudice. Show cause for sanctions and referral for perjury. Outside, Jamal's camera rolled. How's it feel, Mitch? I looked right at him. It's not about me. It's about everyone they did this to. At the emergency HOA meeting, the community exploded. Legal bills, special assessments, outrage. Gwen, retired teacher, led the revolt. Darlene tried playing her proxies. Phil, the treasurer, demolished her. Board was voted out. New leadership took over. Darlene left, never spoke publicly again. Randall's no comment became a meme. For sale signs went up. Contractors filed liens. News vans circled. The empire collapsed. Settlement came. Legal costs paid, public apology, and a brass plaque at the community center, honoring neighbors who stand up for what's right. Use Grandpa's name, I told them. He started this fight. I just finished it. That evening, watching the sunset over the meadow, I finally understood. This land really did have plans. 3 weeks later, the judge hammered down final sanctions. Pritchett's personally liable, bankruptcy-proof. Randall's empire liquidated, the site restored to wildflowers. Elena paid in full. Barbecue at the farm for everyone who helped. Kids running where bulldozers once roared. Bluegrass under the pines. Hope in the air. Kowalski Conservation Meadow became real. Community garden plots. Pollinator Prairie. Kids learning property rights. I set up a scholarship for students studying law, engineering, or the environment. First winner was Marcus's daughter, wanted to be a lawyer for the land. In the end, standing up to bullies worked, because people refused to quit. That's what laws are supposed to do. Protect the powerless, not enable the powerful. If you've ever fought an HOA tyrant or a corrupt official, drop your story below. Your silence is what they're counting on. Let's change that. Subscribe. Next week, you've got to hear about the small-town librarian who bankrupted an entire city council with nothing but bylaws and 20 years of patience. And take a look at this drone shot. Meadow at sunset, families, music, the whole community. Sometimes, the fight isn't just about winning. It's about making sure they never do it to the next person. If you stuck around this long, thanks. Hit like, drop a comment, and let's keep checking those HOA crooks, one story at a time.